Now, recently, Politifact has come out with its 2016 Lie of the Year award. I don't really know if it's that much of a reward, but and instead of naming one lie or another from certain politicians, or one politician or another, or one party or another, instead it went after what it calls fake news. Now, fake news, of course, has been in the real news ever since Hillary Clinton lost. Gee, I wonder why. That's an interesting timing. Now, they gave a couple of examples from the presidential campaign. Now, one of them was the whole Pizzagate, right? Fake news. Hillary Clinton running a child sex ring out of a pizza shop. Which, by the way, the people that have been pushing this conspiracy theory, namely Alex Jones and Michael Flynn Jr., I believe is his name, they've been scrubbing all mentions of that from their timelines and from their videos. They've been getting
Yeah,
rid of
well,
this.
you know what's interesting too,
Hmm.
like just a side note on that, and I don't want to get to it, but I mean, I'm worried if on their end they wonder if they could run into some First Amendment issues there. Because I mean, like if they, and I'm not a law expert, but I know that certain types of speech aren't protected, and first of all, like that could be seen as defamation because it's just a blatant lie about someone in the public spotlight, and there's
Well,
different
it's straight up
there's
bullshit.
different like terms when it's someone in the public spotlight versus someone that's not. And also, like, the fact that that gunman showed up there and was allegedly influenced by an Alex Jones story. I mean, if there was something in that content that they put out that sort of was a call to action to do something violent, that is not protected. Like that's not protected speech anymore. And as far as like the nitty gritty details, I mean, I think that's a case by case basis, and I am not an expert in law to have that discussion. I don't think either one of us are. But I mean, when I first saw that, I kind of wondered if they were scared that it's like, man, we spread
Oh, no.
these
Come on.
lies and we could get in some serious trouble since somebody took violent
No,
action.
no, no, no. No, but false flag. That's what they're going to say. False flag. False flag.
What do you mean?
Oh, no. These people, these conspiracy theorists are saying this guy, no, he was sent by someone else to make us look bad. See, that's always the
Oh,
fallback
right,
position.
right, right, right.
No, no,
Yeah,
this guy, this shooter, we didn't tell him to do anything. We didn't tell him to come in with a gun and shoot at somebody. Which, by the way, he did shoot at somebody
right, 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 right.
after he stormed into the pizza place. Now, look, my opinion
And
of
I'm not,
this
I'm not
guy.
saying, yeah. I mean, we're not saying that that was,
No,
they
but
were
my like,
encouraged to do
here's the
that
thing, right?
necessarily.
My opinion of this guy, the guy who went into the pizza place, is that he thought that he was going to be the hero, and
Hmm.
that's the irony of this whole story, is that this guy comes in there, he's like, I got to save the children from the Hillary Clinton sex ring, like I got to save them. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna save the kids. I'm gonna save the kids. In a way, it's like something that a lot of us, I think, would want to do. Like, yeah, let's grab the gun and we'll save the children. The thing is that this guy was influenced by bullshit news, by
Hmm.
bullshit, right? And so that's the big problem here, is that we're seeing all this bullshit out there, and these people, there are some people that take it seriously, and they actually think that everything that they see online is 100% truth.
Yeah, well, and you have a corporate media that will parrot false
Of
narratives
course.
because they're so neutral. And you have a president elect that appoints noted, white nationalist propagandists to positions. So, I mean, yeah, like as far as media goes, we're in a very weird place right now.
Yeah.
We're in a very weird place, and it's weird. I mean, I think people like you and I are in a weird position, Jeff, because obviously we're independent media advocates.
Right.
Obviously, we're very pro independent media. My favorite newscast in the country is Democracy Now, which is an independent newscast.
Mm-hmm.
But on the same note, there's got to be some kind of gatekeeping and some kind of scrutiny. Somebody like an Alex Jones should not be given credibility and press passes to high-profile political events. I mean, they are noted propagandists that have been unmasked several times.
Yeah, I think.
And
I mean, I get concerned though with that kind of talk. Gatekeeping. I think that you and I, we should be the ones that should be out there, and this is what we do. We go out and we unmask them to the public, and we show them, hey,
sure.
this is what this guy's really about. And so I don't think it should fall. I always get worried about over censorship.
Oh no,
You know,
I'm
I'm
totally with you
I'm
on that, and that's why I said we're in a
huge.
weird position.
Yeah, I'm a huge free speech advocate, and
Right.
I always get worried when especially politicians start coming up with solutions as they've been doing to this whole so-called fake news epidemic. Now, I don't want to stay on this for so long. I do want to move on in this story and give you a couple of extra examples of this that they cite in this article. Now, they also say that another example of fake news is Democrats want to impose Islamic law in Florida, which is ridiculous. Okay? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. No, nobody's doing Sharia law in Florida. That's crazy. Another one, and this actually helps the Donald Trump side. Fake news. Thousands of people at a Trump rally in Manhattan chanted, "We hate Muslims, we hate blacks, they want our country, we want our great country back." That also was fake. So, that goes to our side. Hey, we have to be careful as well. This didn't actually happen. So my whole point is in bringing this up is, look, we've got fake news everywhere. Obviously exists on the right, but also there's an issue of fake news on the left, and we've seen that. Now, for example, Glenn Greenwald wrote a story for The Intercept that I covered the other day, which had a guy who was a huge Clinton backer, huge Clinton fan, essentially manufacturing fake news in order to make Bernie Sanders as well as Trump supporters look stupid. And that's what it was. And look, this fake Goldman Sachs transcript is what it was. Obviously, super fake. Some people in corporate media picked it up, and boom, it became a story. And you've also got the whole Russian thing. And I've wanted to address this as well. Look, the whole Russia did it, Russia hacked into everything. Well, we don't know that. That could be fake news. We don't necessarily know. And even if Russia did hack us, which by the way, yes, it's likely because guess what? Governments hack each other all the time. Pretty sure
Right.
we've also hacked Russia. Okay,
Hmm.
we hack them, they hack us, whatever. Probably in cyber warfare with like 4 or 5 different countries. I don't fucking know.
Right. And we're not saying that's a good thing. We're
No, we're
just
not.
saying it happens. Because, a lot of
Right.
they're like, well, you're okay with it. It's like, no, we're
No,
not
no, no,
saying
we're
we're
not okay
okay
with
with
it.
it. But we're saying it does happen.
Yes, in the cases where it does happen, we would like to actually know that that is the case before we start saying that, oh, Russia hacked into our elections. Oh, 100%, we know this. And then what do we do afterwards? Do we start beating the war drum? That's a problem. Okay, I
Well,
don't
let's
like
not do
this.
that. Yeah.
But anyway, the intent and the assumptions of this whole thing make me very skeptical that that Russia influenced our elections. Okay, not because I don't think Putin would do it. Putin's not a good character. I don't like Putin. I just don't think that there's right now enough evidence. And it's also, since it's coming from the CIA, it's not as if they haven't lied before. It's not as if government agencies have never lied to us.
Really? I mean, what are you referring to, Jeff?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, did
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the FBI, for example. I mean, think about it. The FBI played politics with Hillary Clinton. Said, "Oh, we've got a bombshell. We're going to reopen the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private server." What, a week before the election? James
yeah.
Comey came out and said that. Yeah, that's and then afterwards, a couple days later, very very low key said, "Oh, by the way, yeah, it didn't really actually happen.
Yeah.
We're not reopening the investigation. Nothing to see here, folks." Now, I'm not saying that
Right.
that influenced the election either, right? It could have. Look, you know me. I tend to blame Hillary Clinton more for Hillary Clinton's loss.
We're on the same
We're
side of
on
the
the
fence
same
there.
side on this.
Yeah, we're on the same side of the fence. So that's why it's like, yeah, that probably played a role, yes, but let's not use that as an excuse to not kind of look within and see the flaws of the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party as a
Right.
whole. Although a lot have chosen to still not do that.
Yeah. So as I said, look, these government agencies have lied. They've played politics. We know that. We've seen examples of that. So look, we need more. We need more facts. We need more data to determine whether or not this is fake news. Okay. But again, the whole point is, yes, there is fake news, and there are a lot of sites out there that push it. And some of the sites, if we found out during the whole election cycle, is mainstream corporate news sites. And I want to give some examples of that. You had the New York Times, for example, publishing fake news about Bernie Sanders. MSNBC pushing fake news. Kurt Eichenwald, Peter Dow, John Ralston. All those people pushed, in organizations, they pushed remember the violent Bernie bro narrative?
Mm-hmm.
The Nevada? Oh, Bernie bro. They're throwing chairs. They're throwing chairs. Really, where's your evidence of throwing chairs? Oh, you don't have any. You have a video of a guy picking up a chair for a minute and then putting it down. That's it. That's what they have. No chairs were thrown. No one was hurt. Fake news. Fake news. So if you want to take on fake news, as Politifact claims they want to, as mainstream corporate media and as the Democratic Party wants to take on fake news, how about not just going after the guy sitting on his couch in Georgia, and I don't mean the state, I mean the country of Georgia, which was something that was referenced in this article. No, you need to go after some of the corporate media who has also wittingly spread this fake news around the internet. And
Well, not just that, but I mean,
so,
it kind of rolls downhill. And when you have a
totally.
corporate media that is so neutral, and you know, we've been talking about this multiple times today, but you know, when you have a corporate media that is so neutral that throws journalistic standards by the wayside on a regular basis, you know, you're going to get a rise in this stuff. And I kind of feel like a lot of it, you know, we were talking about policing and stuff like that. I mean, I think the blogosphere does do a pretty good job policing itself in a lot of ways. Yellow journalism gets unmasked, and we're
Yeah,
just in a new technological age. You know, eventually we're going to realize what most of the tabloids are. The difference is that there's new tabloids popping up every day.
right.
They're not just in print at a supermarket anymore. They're online, and they're everywhere. And just because they're independent doesn't mean that they're fake. And just because they're corporate doesn't mean that they're real. So, I mean, it's
You
an
really,
interesting epidemic. And I think that it really reared its ugly head this election season because you had a lot of people at the top and a lot of people in power that didn't hesitate to parrot these narratives when it fit their agenda.
right. And that's the whole, that's one of the biggest problems that I have with this. But it really, when it comes down to is, always multiple source your stuff. Okay. And I don't just mean, oh, the Hill says this, Reuters says that, Associated Press says the same thing. Yeah, but where are they all sourcing it from? If it's from a White House press briefing, well, you're getting it from one source, and it's just being spread around. So you really have to. I mean, it's gotten to the point where you have to verify your news, where you have to try to multiple source, where you have to take things with a grain of salt, and you have to look at whether or not it's like whether or not it's fake. I mean, opinion pieces, we need to know that they're opinion pieces. Okay, we should know that they're opinion pieces. Um, and things where people have opinions or where they do commentary, when they do editorials, all that stuff is fine. Okay, that's not fake news. That's just somebody's opinion. What we do need to, as consumers of news and also people who do commentary on news, I think we need to be a lot more, I guess, careful where we source our information from. And I think people
Absolutely.
who are also consuming this news from us, for example, yeah, sometimes we get things wrong. So you have to be careful as well and do a follow up. Sometimes I miss a piece of information. Sometimes my information might be wrong. So, it helps to do some verification, just to make
Yeah,
sure you get the
absolutely.
story right.
And understanding the differences, and one of the things that's happening at the Young Turks that I'm real excited about it is that they're they're diving more into trying to do more investigative journalism.
Exactly.
Because, like, obviously what we're doing right now, Jeff, is not investigative
No,
journalism. We're
no.
not boots on the ground or anything like that. We're like commentary analysis, filtering, that sort of thing, which is great. It has its place. But, I think we need more boots on the ground because the corporate media is not doing it. So, when you see the Amy Goodmans of the world out there and you see, Jordan over at TYT and the fact that they're trying to get more folks like that
Right.
out there, that's a good thing. And I do think another kind of silver lining um, in, the Trump rise here is that we're going to see a rise in independent media and stronger media outlets. But unfortunately, in the world we live in, we're going to have to take the good in with the bad.
So look, let me get into something that really bothered me, and I think this is the last thing that I want to say on this, is that look, um, this seems like an attempt, the now new war on fake news. Um, this is an attempt to, I think, delegitimize some online news sources, and that's one of my bigger fears. Now I know you can't trust a lot of things online, and we talk about that all the time. But there are some outlets that do actual journalism that many in the corporate media don't. As you mentioned, TYT, you've got Jordan Sheridan out there doing actual investigative journalism and trying to do more. And look, this isn't the 1980s, right, where everybody got their news from television, from the corporate media. And why? Well, back then it's all they had, right? All they had was ABC and CBS. And look, you had Walter Cronkite, which was great back then, but you don't have that anymore. And besides, back then, these major networks did control more of the narrative. Now they don't. So here we go. Now these media organizations, these media companies, they're going after so-called fake news, so people will go back to watching them and only them. Why? Because it's money. It's advertising dollars in their pocket. And that's
I
what
do
this whole
think
thing's
there's
about.
definitely that is
Yeah.
going on because, especially cable television news, they are the Titanic. They are sinking. And it's because younger people don't trust them. And it's because, more people are just going online for their news. And it's just, their average age, the average age of a Fox News viewer, I think it was 72. I think now it's gone down a little bit. It's 68 now. And I think MSNBC and CNN is like 63 and 61 or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's a sinking ship. And so, yeah, they're probably trying to, well, how can we garner interest again? Well, let's try to make corporate synonymous with trust, but that's not the
Right.
case.
Right. And so I think that they probably see that that's not a winning strategy. And so here comes the legislation.
Hmm.
You've heard of the recent legislation being drafted right now through Congress to combat so-called fake news. Um, they're working on essentially what would be what I call the Ministry of Truth.
Hmm.
Okay, and so like they're gonna check to see if stories are fake or not. And I wonder what kind of bias that they're gonna have. An
Right. I
establishment
think you have
bias.
to let the blogosphere police itself. I
Right.
think if any type of media policy that we would have in this country, the type of policy we would need would be kind of a reinstatement of the restrictions that they used to have prior to the Telecommunications Act of 1996. More regulations so that, two or three companies can't control all of the media.
Right.
Those are the types of policies that we need.
Not a new.
But not not this kind of oversight. Then it gets a little gets kind of Orwellian, like you
Yeah.
said.
The Ministry of Truth, and
Hmm.
that scares. I mean, it should scare everybody who believes in
Well,
actual journalism.
here's what's interesting, man. Prior to the 20th century, we had an amazing media structure in this country. We had on average, 10 newspapers in every given major metropolitan area. Different groups of political thought had their own newspapers. And a lot of these papers were subsidized by the government because, it was distributed via the postal service. If you were spreading a newspaper, you got proper funding. And there was all kinds of yellow journalism out there. People would publish all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
Which is so in a lot of ways we almost have a similar media structure to what we have back then, and we're going in that direction. The difference is, the government kind of helped foster it, and I know like there's a lot of folks that think, well, maybe we can kind of have a solution where there is a certain amount of fostering without too much oversight, without too much an overreach of policing. Where maybe like nonprofit newspapers receive funding or something like that. I mean, obviously this is something we're a long ways away from, but we can kind of. I think as far as the media goes in this country, we can kind of have our cake and eat it too. But it's going to take a lot of trial and error, and it's going to take a lot of different people at the table that realize we're at a point of crisis.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.